What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Behind the Line, episode 7. Actually, episode 2 with Antwan Morrow. And he's actually brought his wonderful wife, Sophie,
Voila.
over to join us on episode 2. We're going to roll right into what we left off. And we kind of left off on a cliffhanger. We were really excited, kind of just talked a lot about everything. We want to bring back his whole history and transition into the sport. I mean, you have a really long, extensive background. And in that background, the reason why Sophie's here is because she played a role in your, let's say, transitions, right, into the industry. As I recall, you were a sports guy. And then you fell into this industry. Just to recap, I mean, why?
I guess there's like a very extensive reason why. It goes back to like my childhood, to like what I enjoyed doing. Like, back in my day, kids were active. Sports was a thing. Like all my friends watched football, played basketball.
They played outside.
Played outside, right. Walked to school, but I guess the streets became unsafe. But
Are they though?
Who knows?
Or kids more stuck behind this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, I would say that the reason why I got into it just because it was like something that I enjoyed. So if I was going to be doing something that was going to be making me money, I would want to make sure that that job is something that I enjoy. Less of a job, but more of something that I get to do.
Passion. Absolutely. Yeah. So, as far as like when you decided to make those transitions from being the athlete and like you had indicated before, you were working more towards the athleticism of a sport and fitness, right? And then you met somebody. He was like, "Have you started about competing?" And then that competition went into training and helping others. Now, influencer in our sport, a pro, right?
It's funny because I actually took the non-traditional route that most bodybuilders take. They do a show and now they're a coach.
Right.
I was actually a coach first and then
Did a show.
I went into competing.
And that's one of the episodes we actually tapped on in the Cake Factory podcast, was that we noticed that people would do a show and then all of a sudden become a coach and then take everything that they learned from their coach and duplicate everything they
Well,
did.
they're taking their plan, they're copying and pasting.
Copying and pasting. Yeah,
Literally.
absolutely. And then even their meal plans, even down to their freaking meal plans, which is
bonkers. It's wild.
Weird to me.
It's weird, super weird.
So weird to me.
Super weird.
I mean, you being in the health industry, right? The medicine industry, the nursing industry, you're not diagnosing one person the same way you're diagnosing the other.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not, right? I could never understand why somebody would would do a show or be an athlete, let's just say be an athlete, in the bodybuilding industry, then all of a sudden become a coach and diagnose everybody the same way they were diagnosing themselves from their coach. Makes no sense. So in your route where you were an athlete, right? Not even a competitive athlete. You just genetically gifted. Let's just say that, right? Genetically gifted. Let's be real, bro. Genetics play a huge role in this sport, and if you want to deny that,
well,
you're wrong.
genetics and the foundations.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like you can see a physique and you're like, oh, that guy played sports before he became a bodybuilder. You can tell. And you can tell which sport too. Normally, he looks like he has a football build. Bet you he played football. He has a basketball build, more of a leaner, slimmer build. Or he has
played volleyball.
She played volleyball. She has big calves. I know she can jump, right?
Cheerleader.
And then here's the people that like found fitness later on in their life. They fell in love with it. It gave them a purpose, a reason, or whatever reason why they chose to be able to meet a goal. And they try it out and then they love it. Then they fall in love with it. And now they're lifting weights before they were actually able to put their body into a functional state. So it's like their body doesn't move or build the same as somebody who is more limber, more functional, and then they put on the muscle. I feel like it's a lot more of it's a way more dynamic look. You look at Sebum, right? Sebum can dunk a basketball. He used to play sports when he was in high school, you know, and he was always athletic and into sports. And when you see his physique, you can see a linebacker or whatever he played when he played football, when he played sports. But you can kind of like see engaged between his like calves and like the way his physique, just like his stature, right? And I feel like it's important for people to actually get into fitness before they get into bodybuilding. Just like the basics of like doing a push-up, doing a pull-up, doing a crunch before you do a bench press, you know, lateral raises, shoulder press.
Absolutely. It's like that prison build.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. You see these guys, like men or women, that come out of prison and they're
no calves.
Not have no calves. That's so funny. Yeah, that's true though. That is true. But they have this build that was built off calisthenics.
Yeah.
You know, and then they start lifting weights, and you just all of a sudden see their go. You know, they just excel in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I really like how you said that, because a lot of people confuse fitness and bodybuilding. They're two different categories.
It's not the same.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I hate when people, my friend actually brought this up to me because I didn't really think anything about it before, but he was just like, dude, I fucking hate hybrid athletes. And I was like, why is that? He's like, because you're not a fucking hybrid athlete. Nobody says that I'm a hybrid athlete. They say I'm an athlete or I'm a bodybuilder. So if you are lifting weights and bodybuilding, you're just an athlete. But you're not a hybrid athlete. You're an athlete. An athlete is somebody who can do everything.
Everything.
Right? And you'd be like, damn, that was athletic. Like, boom, I just caught that. Right? Like, and I'll tell her I'll be like, that's because I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's way different than somebody being like, okay, I'm a hybrid athlete. And it's like, what does that mean? I thought athlete was already versatile.
Versatile. Yeah, absolutely.
So what are we talking about? You're just adding words just to make it seem like something else that's not normal for people to do. What should 100% be normal is lifting weights and running a mile. Like that should be normal, or being able to lift weights and do sprints. Like bodybuilding is now different in the way it is
being
aesthetically built in categories, right? Because it's not just bodybuilding, it's bodybuilding. You know, like there's different types of bodybuilding. So now the name bodybuilding means something way different, because now you even have like the fitness girls and guys that do the flips and all that type of stuff. Like that's not just bodybuilding. It's not just lifting weights.
It's athleticism right there.
Right.
It's an athlete.
It's
right?
an athlete. Yeah. I like, that's what I was saying like earlier before we even started recording, about how different sanctions of the shows, the people, different shows, categories, or people who put these shows on, similar to like muscle contests and things like that. You don't see the women who do those fitness things, who do those one-arm push-ups, who do those planks, and who do those different types of athletic things outside of just posing. You know what I mean? I mean, don't get me wrong. When you're cut down in weight and you're down to that point and you're posing consistently, it is a workout.
Oh, absolutely.
Because breathing techniques are involved, you know, certain positionings of the muscle, mobility. I think in your case scenario where you were an athlete first in fitness, transitioning into bodybuilding, then moving into the aspects of bodybuilding of like posing and doing all those breathing techniques and things like that, I think helped you. Because you had more mobility, more structural evidence of being able to hold poses,
Mhm.
right? To maneuver your body in ways because you have the athleticism that an athlete holds,
Mhm.
where their body's mobility is different from a bodybuilder.
Well, just that mind to muscle connection. Like normal everyday people aren't going to know how to move their body a certain way. Whereas, like, an athlete who grew up being an athlete has that control over their body. They're like, oh, put my foot here. Okay, I got it. Whereas, like, a normal person, you're like, oh, I don't know how to do that.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, definitely understand that, and that's the funny part is that I came from the old school. I'm almost 50 years old, so my old school term of bodybuilding was the Arnold, the Lou Ferrignos, the big dudes. They were just big guys. You know what I mean? Physique came later. I looked at Flex Wheeler, right? And I just think, oh, that bodybuilder. Now Flex Wheeler would be a great classic guy,
100%.
right?
Mhm.
Bicep, neck, and calves all match the same size. You're literally looking at a guy whose bicep and neck were the same size as his calf. That's a symmetrical body, right? That's classic now, right? Which is weird to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's a bodybuilder. That's a bodybuilder. But and you can go back into Flex Wheeler's history. He was an athlete before he was a bodybuilder. And a lot of my clients now, it's funny that you bring that up because a lot of my clients now, they hate my workout regimens. Why? Because I make them do 20 reps on everything.
Yeah, the high reps always get them.
High reps.
Anything past 15 is like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? And then I increase the weight consistently. I'm challenging them. Not only am I challenging them in their endurance, in their heart, in their muscle endurance as well, I'm challenging them physically with the weight. And they always ask me, why? Why? Excuse what I'm about to say. You can have the biggest dick in the world, but if you're only fucking for 2 minutes, you're still a 2-minute man. And no female is going to go back to Mandingo for 2 more minutes of anything.
That's facts. That's
Right?
facts. Yes.
So then when I remember, man, when I first saw you and I first met Antwan and I remember seeing him on show, I was like, that's an athlete. He's not a competitor. He's a athlete in the competitor world, so he won't be judged like a competitor. And I never liked that because there was so much more to your body than just the bodybuilder, right? Like if I put you out there and said, this guy right here, you two, let's go, 200 push-ups, knock him out. I'm gauging you on time. That's it. I guarantee you would win. Guarantee you would win. That to me, I'd rather have that soldier standing next to me than the bodybuilder. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why my workouts are that way. Why I conducted classes that way, So now that we've established you being an athlete and stuff like that, why did you transition into moving over to the bodybuilding aspects of things?
Well, like I said before, I was kind of more so invited by a coach who said that I had the potential. He's like, yo, like, have you ever done bodybuilding before? I was like, no. He was like, man, I would love to be your coach and coach you through your first show, and I'll do it for free. Right. And pretty much I was just like his poster boy. So like what he was able to do, because he already seen the work ethic that I put in when I was just being inside the gym. And when I got into bodybuilding, bro, I knew nothing about bodybuilding. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I wasn't even a fanboy. So it's a lot different when I came in than when like other guys are coming in. They're coming in because they're looking up to other people. They're inspired by them. But they want to be something that they've seen. For me, it was just like I just wanted to establish myself and my business, right? I wanted to make money. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was the whole reason why I separated the military, is because I wanted to make a name for myself, right? Antwan Morrow. which the Antwan Morrow name was stolen. So that was the reason why I chose Rarkus, and Rarkus is my dad's middle name for everybody out there. Yeah,
That's your dad's middle name?
yeah, that's my dad's middle name. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Rarkus.
That's
yeah.
unique.
Yeah, that's why I used it. I always thought it was really cool. I was like, man, Dad, I really like your name. I don't know why, but I like it. I'm going to use it for something. So
I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you guys ever have kids, you better name one of the kids that. I'm telling you, man.
She can pick the first names, and I'll just have the middle names be Elizabeth and Rarkus.
There you go. That'd be cool.
Elizabeth, my mom's name.
Yeah. Oh, that's sick.
That'd be
That's
awesome.
dope.
That'd be cool.
That'd be
But yeah, we'll talk about that.
She's like, I need to tap into that one. Oh, I love it.
We have it on
But,
record that he said that I could pick the first name.
There you go. I love it. See, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. We could always refer back to this episode.
I still got to agree to the name, but she can pick it.
Okay, good.
But but yeah, you know, like when I started, I really didn't have a person that I was looking to be able to develop my physique. I developed my physique the way I was being coached by and what I just was learning and wanted to be myself. So I was literally just building my own desired physique rather than building something that needed to fit a criteria. I have no idea what the criteria was.
I still don't know what the criteria is, to be honest
we
with you.
still don't know what the criteria is, but you know, and you know, apart from that, I felt like my passion in the sport, the reason why my driver has been so consistent has it been since like last 4 years.
Mhm.
I've literally been competing every single year. And, you know, I did multiple national shows, probably like 4 or 5, maybe 6, not too sure, but at least 4 or 5 shows. And those are 4 or 5 times that I did not get my pro card, that I wasted $350 for a show entry, that I wasted time. And then before that, you know, my first year I was doing back to back shows because my ego was so high and so driven. And I feel like in this episode, I want to talk about how I was able to master my responses to my ego. And that ultimately is what has been the driving factor for me to catapult forward, switch coaches, switch the way I train, switch the way I do cardio, all of that stuff, because I was so stuck into the world that I thought that I knew what I needed to do was, you know,
Just
it
get
was a
big?
thing. Yeah. Just get big. Well, not even that. I didn't even have that desire. I just did things the way I did things, right?
yeah.
And you know, I was still doing functional work too. And that's a thing, is that like, if you want to be, that's why I hate hybrid athlete, because it's like, okay, you can be okay at both things, but at the end of the day, if you're putting 50% here and 50% here, you'll never be 100% in each category.
That's true.
So it's just like, okay, if you really want to be a bodybuilder, you have to bodybuild.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've been able to build my body to a point to where it's now established as a IFBB pro physique, now I have room to be able to add in sprints during my off season. I'm still doing cardio. I'm still on diet. I'm doing core workouts. You know what I'm saying? And not just regular crunches. I'm doing like halos with the kettlebell, like real shit that actually challenges your serratus anterior, you know, your abdominis, your back
Your
core,
lower back core,
right?
yeah.
Because your lower
That
back
tree.
is your core too as well.
Mm-hmm.
And all that's the Christmas tree. All that stuff is important, especially in men's physique. But I've heard Brendan Hendrickson say this before, that a lot of guys are anti-core, right? And it's just like, okay, well, going back to when I was competing my first year, I was competing and I was boxing, right? Because that was like the year that I got into boxing, which I still want to get back into. I've asked her if she'd be down with me, like being switching to boxing from bodybuilding to boxing. But I was doing boxing, and then I was also doing like learning how to do muscle ups, calisthenics, flag poles, handstands. That was the year that I was doing all of this functional stuff, right? And I remember my coach telling me during the time I was like, man, I keep getting first place. Literally, my first show, I won overall novice. I won first in class, and then I won second in open, right? First show. And this is back in 2018, and there was a lot more, it was a lot more popular.
There was a lot of people competing back
The
then.
competition was stacked.
Huge. Yeah, your class probably had 30, 40,
Yeah.
50 people in it.
Yes. So the fact that I was able to do that, first show, Natty,
Huge.
is amazing, right? And from there, I was like, USA's here we come, baby. I said, I'm about to be a pro.
2 shows.
That's too easy.
2 shows.
Too easy.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling myself. It was too easy. Because I was competing like it was football. I wasn't competing like it was bodybuilding, right? And that's the difference, is because bodybuilding, you're not competing against other competitors. You're only competing against yourself, against your ego, to tell you on what you need to train in order to fit the category, in order to have a better symmetry, better aesthetics, to be able to beat out the competition. It's not the competition, it's you. It's you versus you, you know? And
This is a very selfish sport.
very selfish sport. And, you know, when I realized that, okay, I gotta change everything up here, because I remember one year, she can attest to this, is that I did a prep with one of my good friends, Mark, and we were both like really like adamant that we were both gonna turn pro that year. And I won first in my class, you know, but I didn't get the overall again, you know, and this is like the 10th time that I've done this. Every single time I'll get second. Never first.
I've seen 3 of your shows. I was there.
And you know, not to throw any bones out there, but a couple of the shows is like throwing darts in the dark. I'm like, what's going on here? Like the guy next to me is like, it looks like it's year 1 lifting weights. Like I'm confused.
That category thing.
Right? But at the same time, it's like, it's okay. It's not a loss, it's a lesson. Let's learn from this. How can I get better? Right? And that was when I started to actually make like sense of things, and things started to have momentum. And she can tell you, because that's when I started getting my sponsorships. That's when my Instagram started to blow up. And it was blowing up because people were like, not only inspired by like my words or like my creativity with my content, because I make all my content, but the physique as well. And like a lot of guys is crazy, bro, but I'll like meet people and they'll tell me like how long they've been following me. They've been following me for like 5 years, like longer than I've known her. And people have literally watched my growth. And they're just like, I'm so like, you drive me, you inspire me, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's pretty cool to see, because going back to like the ego thing, is that like I was in a place to where I was being hard-headed, and I was just like, fuck that, I can just work hard. And this one year I was doing cardio to the max, Stairmaster sprinting for 40 odd minutes. Sprinting though, I'm talking about level 12. You know what I'm saying? And I kill all my muscle.
Yeah.
All my muscle. I was arguing with my friend about this too at the time. He's not my friend no more, but I was arguing with him at the time. And he was telling me, you know, slow and steady, bro. Like you just have to walk. Like you're gonna get the job done. I was like, nah, bro, that's lame. That's not how it's supposed to work. You need to go hard. You need to challenge yourself. Cardio is supposed to challenge the heart. Right? And I learned the hard way that it's not about going hard. It's about going smart.
Smart, yeah.
Right? And smart is going to take you far, you know, technical.
Slow is fast in this sport.
Yeah. What did it say? Slow is fast and smooth is steady?
Smooth is steady, yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that, you know what that is, though, is that's the athlete's mentality. That's the athlete mentality in you, you know? I came from an athlete background too. This is 100% the athlete's mentality. What is it that in that moment though, that you just doing cardio. That's a lot of aerobic workout, right? Aerobic workout. And him telling you go anaerobic. What changed? Why did you do that? Why did you all of a sudden go from this athlete doing aerobic? I understand that you started seeing things, but why go anaerobic? Why? Why did you change it?
It was like me trying to,
Circumvent your own ego?
yeah, because I kept losing. So I'm like, okay, I gotta go. I gotta turn it up a notch, right? And I'm like, fuck this, you know. Like she can attest to this. Is that? Do you remember when I was just like, I asked you a question? I said, why don't you ever get surprised by like the things that I do or whatever, like doing the cardio and whatever, like, and you were like, it's because I know you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With diet, everything.
Yeah.
Like,
You knew he was just gonna do it.
yeah, for sure. Like, for him to stay on diet, he's like, oh my gosh, babe, I stayed on diet. Like, this is off season. I stayed on diet for a week. And I'm like, okay, and he's like, what do you mean? Like, I didn't eat anything and I'm in off season. And I'm like, well, that's just you. That's normal. That's every day. Like, what do you mean? I would be surprised if you were like, hey, I'm going to go get pizza. But I'm not surprised when he's like, I've meal prepped all day. I've had all my food this week. Didn't miss a beat. And I'm like, okay, cool.
So you're on it.
Yeah, babe. Would you say that like I'm like interviewing my wife? Would you say I've always wanted to ask her these things. Would you say that you've been able to see like a consistent like change in patterns, like with my daily processes in terms of like growth? Because obviously you've been here, so I don't know if it's been like this, if it's been here, you know.
Well, I don't know what this is, but I can definitely say, like, from the start, it was an all or nothing mentality with him. It was like putting all my eggs in a basket. I'm going for this show. Like, we got 9 weeks. Like, let's do this. Like, cardio up, food down, like, you know, all that. But now it's like year round. It's like slow and steady.
Yeah.
Cole will have like a little thing here, but it's mostly just like I have the big goal. I'm working all year round 100% towards it, but it's not all or nothing. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that 100% makes sense. And if I may kind of put it in like layman's terms as to exactly how you're explaining it, everybody says fitness is a lifestyle. You were living a lifestyle. When you said that he was going all in, that was a lifestyle. I don't believe fitness to be a lifestyle. I believe fitness and health to be a culture. You know, you're Vietnamese. What's your full ethnicity background? A mud?
Yeah, Nigerian,
Yeah.
Eastern European.
Eastern European?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Filipino. You know, wars were fought for cultures. People have died for cultures. People have stood ground and not moved for their culture. They won't do that for a lifestyle.
No.
They won't.
No.
Not at all. They just won't. It befounds me that people don't take their health and absorb it into their culture. They absorb it into their lifestyle.
Health is always the last. It's the last thing.
the last thing
that they think about.
they think about. It's weird. So to see that transition exactly how you explained it, and to see that you saw that, it's great. That's a great partnership, but it's also a great support system. Like you had mentioned before in episode 1, you know, you actually just asked her the question that you dropped in episode 1. You know, and that kind of almost brings it back to full circle as to how you ended up as a pro. You can see that now. I see that now. Yeah. You actually just closed that circle. You became not the person who lives the lifestyle, but the person who is it. You're all year round living it, you know, doing what you need to do, which A lot of people don't. I don't. I can tell you that right now. But that's a big difference in that sport. And do you think that the weight caps made a difference in that?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I do for sure because it limits, especially in men's physique at least, it limits you to how big you can get, because I've stepped on stage at like 215, 212 pounds, but my weight cap is 202.
Big difference.
So it kind of didn't force me, but it kind of gave me at least a target point to understand on where I need to be at a certain body fat percentage. So I think it's a cool tool to be able to gauge on where your target is.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have a more tactical approach and you also stay in the range of a healthy weight. So that way, when you do get back on prep, you don't have to kill yourself with fucking cardio. You can save your calves,
Well, I mean, the whole goal in the sport is to eat your way to your goal.
Yeah.
Right? Literally.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But
It's
what
75%
happens-
food,
What
25%
happens
work.
is that, like what she said, like, this off season that I'm doing right now
Mm-hmm.
with aerial cuts has been the most specific, granular, minuscule off season I've ever had. Right? I'm still doing the same amount of water, still doing the same amount of sodium intake. I'm watching my calories and my sugars when it comes to sauces. I'm meal prepping every single day. We have one day, which is today, that we'll go do whatever we want. But apart from that, it's like food is still tracked. Cardio is still implemented, which is crazy to me because a lot of people will be like, okay, I'm putting on muscle. I don't need to do cardio. That doesn't make any fucking sense because your heart is a muscle. So if you think about it, you need to train your heart in order for your entire body to be able to evolve to the point that you want it to evolve in, right? Because the heart is going to be your foundational muscle. It's the thing that gets everything else going, pumps the blood, gets all the red blood cells to be able to get there and help recover the muscle, after you just beat it up and broke it down. So it's just like, okay, if you're not training your cardiovascular system, you're not putting yourself into a good position for your body to heal faster. Also, you're taking away performance because you don't have the stamina to keep up with the workouts that you're doing.
Well, you don't think about, because bodybuilders don't think about their internal health. I actually don't think bodybuilders.
Gut health.
Gut health.
That was
yeah.
my number one thing, the whole
Gut
prep,
health.
gut health.
I don't even think bodybuilders even think about like their health after bodybuilding.
Well, that goes back to the lifestyle comment.
Yeah.
Is like this is easier for him because he's living it. He's
Yeah.
living it every single day. So it's like, oh, it's a no brainer. But whereas someone who's just this is all or nothing shows over. All right, let's eat everything in sight. Like, let's stop the cardio. Like, workouts, what are those?
But I've been there though.
Oh yeah, I'm
And
we
we've learned. We
We both have.
That's right. You competed too, right?
Yeah.
Yes, she's a WBFF pro. At her first show.
That is so amazing.
And then I stepped in, I coached her for her first pro show and she got third.
Nice.
Stepped in late because somebody dropped the ball on her.
Real quick here. How many shows have you done? Just give me a round number.
More than 10.
More than 12. And you?
2.
Your background currently, you're in nursing school, right? You're heading towards a doctorate. You're really taking it into another level as far as the health is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great dynamic because you come from a world that's almost like the streets. And this is, you know what I'm saying? Like,
It's my rescue pup.
But it's like, you're coming from the world of like the streets. She's coming from the world of like the black and white almost. We were in the gray, she's in the black and white. And to see that marriage come together where she's, like I had mentioned earlier, how many semesters of nutrition have you taken in all this time that you've been in school to head towards your doctorate?
0. Absolutely none.
Wow,
None.
that is crazy to me.
And let me tell you, with someone who has IBS/Crohn's, I don't eat just any bread. And in the questions, they'll tell you, what do you give someone with IBS Crohn's? Bread and jam. Why would you give them sugar and bread?
Weird to me. And that's the thing is like, how many semesters of drugs have you taken?
Every single one of them.
Okay. So to see somebody like yourself, fitness driven, athletic, an athlete, not a hybrid, not a hybrid, an athlete. That's one of the reasons why you're here, is because I wanted to talk to you more about the athleticism within you that brought you to bodybuilding. You know what I mean? But to see now the both of you together, where you're learning this from an internal aspect, right? You had to go through that learning curve by doing it. You literally felt the things that she's learning. You know? And that to me is gold, man. You can't teach that to people. Some people just don't even want to hear it because they only think about the outcome of how they look, not how they feel. Right. And I'm glad we got to get to that point with you, because it's super important for people to realize that being an athlete doesn't necessarily mean that you can just go and compete. It's just a question of turning that switch in your head, and which is what you did, right? When you just went hard, boom, 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 your friend was telling you, hey, slow it down. You know what I mean? But again, the ego was telling you, no, I've done first. I've won overall. I've placed second too many times to get to the time where I need to be, right? Now with her being that support system there, you know, you saying, I just know you're going to do it. I just know you're going to do it. It's like almost like a parent. No, that's the fact. You know what I mean? Like me telling my daughter, go and be a good girl today. And then my daughter going, I'll try. Huh? You'll try? You'll try to do what? Be a good girl? Right? And you just do it. That's super big. It's super huge. And and we're going to drop an episode 3 because I want to dive deep more into you. More into how you being an athlete, you being an IFBB pro, WBFF pro, and then being in the health industry, you know, and having him as your support system and you two working together in that. Because I'm going to be real, man. I've seen more relationships fall apart in our industry than grow. And I'm sure you guys have seen it too. It's very sad. Two beautiful people. When you see them, wow, looks great, looks amazing, but the insides just don't match. So understanding that, you know, like how you brought that up in the episode 1, I love how you asked that question you asked her, because, man, that's one of those questions when you ask your partner and the answer you gave was amazing. It's because you, not only are you holding him accountable, but you're holding him accountable for what he already knows he should be doing. So the answer that you gave of you're doing what you need to do is amazing, because the answer you just said right now, if you're eating pizza or if you weren't doing your cardio and doing it, I'd be more like, what are you doing? That's a partner who's paying attention. Why? Because I'll tell you right now, like he said, and you understand this most of all too, because you're a competitor, this is the most selfish sport that any person does. And for a man to be selfish when he has a partner, a wife, a relationship, how does that not create walls of division?
That's a whole conversation on its own. I think it's important for men in a relationship to be selfish. They need to have that part of themselves, because if he fully gave himself to me, like, he wouldn't be the man that I met. I met him before he was an IFBB pro, but he was still competing. He had already done what, 2 shows? So it would be selfish of me to ask him to, pay more attention to me, or, stop doing what he's doing to reach his goal.
Well, how do you find that balance, though? A lot of women don't understand that. A lot of men don't even understand that. How do you find that balance?
I think a lot of self-reflection. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's, it's how I feel. So I have to ask myself, like, is this like going where it needs to go? I'm not sure how to like put it into words, but it's just like one of those things, like, when you're comfortable with yourself, when you have your goals, when you respect your partner and, trust your partner, it's like, I fully support him. So if he's like, oh, I'm going to quit my job and like move to Switzerland, I'm going to be like, okay, what do I need to do to help you? Because I'm comfortable with what I have going on. So for me to, adjust myself to him, it's like, it's fine. And that's where people think like, oh, he's being selfish. But is it him being selfish, or is he doing something that he needs to do to make us better? I don't know.
There's semi-truth in the Switzerland thing.
There is.
Semi.
So you probably have brought this up. I was gonna say, why would she bring up Switzerland, bro? Like, out of all the things you could have said, like, oh, we're moving to Florida. She said, no, we're moving to Switzerland. I'm quitting my job, and you're coming. And she's like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, obviously,
laying down the breadcrumbs to something.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, that we'll definitely tap into that in the next episode. But it befounds me. I don't know. Maybe because I'm more old school. I grew up in a traditional family. We're probably going to get hit some heat about this. But one of the things you said to me earlier is, I'm not a feminist. And it's not so much that you aren't a feminist, but you're a very confident woman. And that's not being arrogant. That's you being confident in knowing that if he was going to do something that you can't control, you can't control it. If she was going to do something that you can't control, you can't control. You're a confident man. You can't control it. You don't put energy towards things you can't control.
Mm-hmm.
You put energy towards things you can control. And because you guys have somewhat of a control over each other, you respect that.
It goes back to communication too. It's like, he communicates with me everything that he wants to do, wants to pursue before he makes that decision. And I feel like that brings a lot of like clarity and,
Light.
right, to me being more open to supporting him with his goals, because he had already like talked to me about it prior to making that decision. So I think that's like very important. Like, he knows I'm going to say yes either way, but it's just like to make me feel more confident. I don't know the word for it.
Included.
More
Included.
secure. More secure.
Secure.
Secure. Because at the end of the day, let's be real, and tell me if I'm wrong, a woman wants a man to be respectful and honest. She wants him to be responsible. She wants him to have faith in something greater than himself and not in her, right? But she also wants to feel secure, safe, right? And if and same thing goes for him. It sounds like to me the reason why you guys have been able to overcome hurdles is because you're not afraid to offend each other by talking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Were you always in the position where you're at now, if heading towards a doctorate when you met him?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Okay, well then what ended up? How did that go left turn? Just like with you, you're working out and some dude will be like, hey, have you thought about competing? And then boom, all of a sudden now you're in a whole new path and a whole new avenue. You're an influencer. You have people that you motivate. What got you to all of a sudden say, I want to become a doctor?
Actually competing.
Really?
Yes. I started competing because I was like in a really dark place and I saw it as a regimen, something to follow. It wasn't necessarily like stepping on stage for me. It was like giving me that structure and then something to focus on and having a goal at the end of the tunnel.
Wow.
And after I did the show, I was like, dang, that was not healthy. My stomach hurts. My skin feels crazy. I think I have an eating disorder. Like, and that led me down like this giant spiral of like the Google machine. Like, let's see, like everything. And then I was like, oh, wow, if I did this differently. And then so I was just like, well, let's look into like the medical field. And I didn't like the scope of practice of medical doctors because it's medication. Whereas like a nurse, you're doing everything around that person before you're like, okay, we need to resort to medication. So that led me to looking down, the nurse path, but I don't want to just be a nurse. I want to, do more than that. I want to influence more people to look at the other areas before resorting to medications. And that's why I chose to go.
You truly want to heal.
Yeah, so that's why I'm pursuing a doctorate in nursing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I mean, like, no, this is going to open a big can of worms because this is really good because
the feminist comment.
well, I know that, but not only that, but everybody thinks they can be what they want to be without trying to be what they want to be. All of a sudden I can just say I'm a woman without trying to be a woman or even understanding how it is to be a woman. Found me, right? So, and that's crazy to me. And it's really nice to know that what you had first said in your first episode, she's literally capping it right now.
I have no idea what he said.
Well, you will know. You'll see it because it's going to be running out soon. But it that tells me that you guys communicate. I'm sure it wasn't an easy road. I'm sure that all of a sudden a change here, a change there. I'm sure there was a time when you would say, let's say even 3 years ago, 4 years ago, all of a sudden he's like, we're going to Switzerland. You're like, what are you talking about? Now it's different.
Yeah.
Right? I want to tap into that more because that shows more of where the growth of the human mind in relationships through the health and fitness that you guys came together in is important. And people are just dying nowadays just from their mental stabilities. And relationships are part of that. So we're going to bring you back for episode 3 with you as well, obviously. And we need to dig. We need to dig into this because, I've had the pleasure of sitting down with him and talking to him many times. I've never had the pleasure of doing so with you. And he's definitely asked me many wise questions. I'm a lot older. I've been around a lot longer. I've been through some shit. And to me, to see his rock and foundation in supporting system in him and his rock and foundation in his supporting system is huge. Because it also helps me too. And it'll help a lot of other people. Drop your IG again.
Antwan Rock is Fit at all platforms.
Okay. And your clothing line is going to be dropping soon.
Against all odds, yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah, guys.
It's actually being manufactured right now.
So keep an eye out on that, okay? And then also, I believe you said you don't have any social media.
You just follow me and
she'll be in there.
She'll be in there.
Yeah. Leave the comments there. Also, leave the comments in the video. If you have a question for her, if you have something you guys want to know, a question for Antwan, a question for myself, leave a comment. We'll get back to you, okay? Don't forget, follow Cake Factory at Cake Factory Training Facilities on IG. Follow us on YouTube, at Cake Factory Training. Like all the episodes. Like the first episode that's about to drop. Leave some questions. Leave answers for things that you probably thought that we should have been talking about. If there's something that you disagree with, please, by all means. I love to hear it. Other than that, look out for episode 3 of this, which is going to be episode 8 on the podcast. And we're going to bring them back. We're going to dig. I want to know more because it's not easy.
No.
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure there's probably times when you two said, I'm done. Right? Let's be real.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But then to hear her say, I'll follow you anywhere you go.
With
Bro. Yeah, obviously. But that to me is huge, right? That's huge. So with that, man, thank you guys for coming.
Appreciate you,
I
bro.
appreciate you.
Thank you for having
No,
us.
thank you. Thank you so much for coming and being honest and being real. And that's how we do things here. Everything we do here, guys, we don't have a structure. We just start talking.
That's it.
And I love it.
Yeah, it's the best way.
Yeah, it's supernatural. All right, guys, thank you so much again. Leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.
Peace.